Great to talk to you again and great to see you again, Maggie. A lot has happened since the last time we spoke at the Cardano Africa show. On the one hand, Save the Children got a significant amount from our staple operators. And secondly, we did a workshop together with our teams to see how blockchain can be used to solve the most urgent problems. A proportion of the funds, they will go to the Komway Hub, as announced on the Africa show. Before we dive into our collaboration and the challenges a bit in detail, let's quickly talk about the Kumwe Hub, because I'm sure the community wants to know more what exactly you plan there and what your intentions are. So Maggie, would you be so kind and summarize quickly what the program is?
Thanks, Eva. Yes, a lot has happened since we last spoke, and our Kumwe Hub has really been roaring ahead with some super exciting initiatives. We set up Kumwe Hub last year to reimagine the way that Save the Children engages with the private sector. Kumwe Hub is our innovation and impact investment arm, where we look at how we can shake up traditional models of charitable aid. And as you know, we have big aspirations with this hub. We're starting in Rwanda, but we want it to be regional in nature. And so far in the hub, we've been trialling innovations that have the potential to help children at scale. One example of this is our MicroWorks project with refugee youth, whereby the youth use their own mobile phones to collect AI data for payment, and they subsequently earn a living that way. So we also want to be investing in for-profit businesses that have a proven impact on children, family, or youth. And in order to align with this new non-traditional way of programming, we also want to try new fundraising approaches. And for that, we've currently been talking to you guys at Cardano, helping us with this and a digital asset strategy.
Yeah, and I would say that let's quickly see the video you've created about the Komway Hub and then continue our chat. Like in many other industries, the right framework conditions must first be created before you can develop and deploy a new technology. What are the key challenges that you face at Save the Children while you're in the phase of implementing blockchain and a digital asset strategy?
Yeah, working with digital assets is a challenge for an organization like ours, mainly due to the newness of cryptocurrencies and the tendency to see them as riskier than traditional financial assets or cash. To give you some examples of some of the challenges at Save the Children, we're still working out, for example, how to treat this type of award or grant when it doesn't come in a currency that can be recognized by a bank or indeed by our own internal financial systems. Linked to this is the commitment we have to be completely transparent to all of our donors on how much we're spending and exactly on what. So a question for crypto fundraising and those donating in, say, ADA that our treasury might have is, do all of those individual donors who gave in ADA agree that if they donate on a certain day and if Save the Children don't transfer immediately to fiat straight away, it might be worth potentially less than it was before? And is that still okay? You at Cardano might say that, of course, everybody understands this, and we're a community that's comfortable with a fluctuating asset like this. So it's an understandable part of charitable giving, which we accept. But, Save the Children is still quite rightly trying to consider the ethics of this new way of giving. Another issue that's difficult in general for charities is that it's difficult for us to be seen as holding or owning any asset when it might rise or fall in value. Can it be seen as gambling, for example, with donor money? And should charities be owning assets such as this? Are we even registered to do so? Lastly, I'd say that there are plenty of countries in the world where governments aren't yet sure about their own position with regards to cryptocurrency. So, for example, here in Rwanda, we are very careful to point out that Save the Children isn't buying or selling cryptos. We're not trading in any way, but we have been fortunate enough to have Cardano as a partner that donates them to us in the first place. So we get the benefits of an increasingly valuable asset that we aren't having to use the charity's existing money to buy starting out. But then we are able to stress to government that the first that they know of any money entering the country is that they see in a currency that they do recognize, which is dollars. It would be good for an NGO like Save the Children to sweep in and start trading or programming with cryptos in a country before the government has had time to work out its own strategy itself.
Yeah, and this is something we have figured out when we did the workshop. We saw that there are plenty of opportunities using blockchain and digital assets, but still certain hurdles to overcome. Now the question is, how can we as a foundation help organizations like Save the Children to overcome these challenges, these hurdles? We have been able to come alongside Save the Children so that we are not just funding them through ADA, but also working out longer term ways how they can use digital assets in their work and in their strategy. The first thing we have been able to do is to hold their ADA donations with us whilst they are working out how they can accept ADA and what the next steps are using ADA. We've understood that Save the Children, it's a challenge to hold a fluctuating asset, as you mentioned, especially a digital asset, which is so new to organizations like Save the Children, but also governments in countries like Rwanda. It isn't easy given their status as a charitable organization. So we've been testing out various ways of making it easy for Save the Children to draw down donations given in ADA in a way that doesn't compromise their own internal system and processes. Secondly, building awareness and educating is a large part of our work at the Cardano Foundation. So we have been able to participate in Save the Children's global webinars that Rwanda is hosting, which attempts to initiate discussions on the topic. We really want to see more countries and more NGOs like Save the Children being able to benefit from digital assets and blockchain going forward in their work. Lastly, we can be flexible. So often charitable donations are linked to specific outcomes at specific times, which are very rigid in their conditions. But since our own way of working is agile and is adaptive in nature, we can allow Save the Children to work in this way also. Adapting their proposed activities based on the changing needs they see on the ground. That's an element. That's an elementary part. During COVID, this has been particularly important. Climate change makes it very important as floodings may happen very suddenly, which displaces a large number of families, which you mentioned it, Save the Children may want to respond to. The mission of the Cardano Foundation and the job of myself and my team is to figure out ways to create impact and solve the problems that exist today and find innovative ways to pave the way for the future based on blockchain.
Yeah, that's so great to hear, Ava. So interesting. And I'd be really interested to hear from you. What are some of the problems that you've seen early on with Save the Children that you think can be really helped with a strong blockchain and digital asset strategy?
We understand that it's really difficult for refugees' family to get access to their needs. This not only means banked unbanked. This not only means getting a bank account, but just in general get the things they need after a storm. And most of the times they get just the most important supply. But I guess blockchain offers the possibility to really focus on their needs and to track programmable finance to see where the money goes, what the money is spent for, and therefore, why is it needed? Blockchain and digital assets shouldn't be the reserve of those to know. Cardano wants to ensure that firstly, Save the Children can strengthen its internal ways of working using blockchain and of course of their work using ADA. Secondly, we want to see how we can use their existing work with some of very hard to reach groups to increase access and bridge this digital asset divide that exists. For example, how can we ensure that women in rural areas who earn $1 a day or a displaced child refugee, how they can also benefit from blockchain, and how can we empower their lives as well? Working with a partner who is really in this very difficult space means we can extend our impact, and we can create a significant impact by working in such a partnership. So Maggie, we just recently talked about your site visit you did just recently in Burundi. It would be, I guess, also for our community, super interesting to know more about what you've seen and what you've experienced there.
Yes, I just got back from Burundi this week. We have a sub-office in Burundi, and it's so interesting to have these two very different countries under my remit, because when we set up Komway Hub in Rwanda, we were able to do so partly because here we have a government that is extremely stable, low corruption, and most exciting for us, the Rwandan government has this stated aspiration, this stated ambition to position itself as the innovation and tech hub for the whole of Africa. So we had a real opportunity here to explore how we can set up a social enterprise and support local entrepreneurs who are really working for change at scale for children. In Burundi, we don't have that operating environment or that opportunity to start a similar hub, but the needs are huge, as you'll see from the upcoming video. Burundi has the highest rate of child malnutrition anywhere in the world. It's also been labelled as the world's most underreported crisis. Climate change is now meaning that flooding is a regular occurrence, and it's displacing thousands of families routinely. In the camp that you'll see in the upcoming video, there are 3,000 people in that one camp alone, 2,500 of which are children. So as with so many crises, children are bearing the brunt of this one also. But, the opportunity is also great, where the need is great. And we do see an exciting opportunity to work with Cardano on understanding which one of these many challenges can be helped by blockchain and a digital asset strategy. For example, cash transfers. We've known for a long time that there's good evidence to show that cash transfers to families in need, vulnerable families, have huge efficiency rather than giving out food, let's say, and having people wait in a long line for food and give gifts in kind, as we call it. They're given non-food items as well, like soap, etc., alongside food items. It's much more efficient to give cash. And we know that when we give cash, particularly to the female head of the household, this cash is translated into better outcomes for children's nutrition, for children's educational outcomes. But how can we give cash, for example, easily to, one of our volunteers who perhaps lives in the refugee camp, Save the Children tries to use as much as possible volunteers from within the refugee communities themselves within our work. If we want to give a stipend to that family who's helping us, or if one day, we find that they're very qualified sometimes in the camp, if somebody's been a teacher and they then want to apply for a Save the Children job, that social mobility is almost impossible, because then we can't pay them as a Save the Children employee. They're often unbanked. So issues like this, how can Cardano really dig in to some of these problems and help us understand how we might solve for these?
Yeah, enable change. I think it's super great to share this vision or mission with you. Let's see the video quickly about your experiences in Burundi, so that the community also see what's this how it is in this underreported state of the world, and really much looking forward to our collaboration and to see great things happen in the future. Thanks so much, Maggie, for the chat.
Thank you, Eva.
Hello colleagues at Cardano. I'm here in Burundi on the shores of Lake Tanganyika. Only the shores of Lake Tanganyika shouldn't be here. They should be around 1 kilometre in that direction. But Burundi's at the forefront of the climate change crisis, and we're here at a school today that has been flooded, and this is an increasingly regular occurrence here in Burundi.
I'm here in Gatumba camp in Burundi, where there's over 2,000 kids living in pretty difficult conditions. These kids have been displaced by floods, which are repeatedly hitting the country of Burundi. You haven't heard about it? That's probably because this is the most underreported crisis in the world.